Hey fam. So in this video, we're going to look into the general layout of Zymbolic, and we're also going to look into some basic commands that you can use to work with this editor. So go ahead and open up Zymbolic, and then let's get started. Okay, so from the dashboard, we're just going to go ahead and click New Document to create a new document. And then this first page that you're going to see is very similar to anything you see in any online text editor. So we're just going to go ahead and we're just going to add a title here. I'm just going to call this tutorial. Okay, now when you're working with Zymbolic, you're always going to be in one of two main editor modes. Now, the first mode is just regular text, which just looks exactly like what you typically see with regular text editors, and it looks like that. And the second main mode is equation mode. And so this is where you're actually going to be creating equations. Now, to toggle between regular text mode and equation mode, all you need to do is press Shift-Enter. So here I go, Shift-Enter to go to equation mode, and then once again, Shift-Enter to go back to regular text mode. So once again, those are just the two main modes that you'll be working with in Zymbolic. Okay, now the next thing that you'll probably want is inline equations. So frequently you're going to want to embed an equation within regular text. And so in order to do that, you can go ahead and just create some regular text again. Regular text. And then in order to add an embedded equation, just go ahead and press open brace like that. And then you can just create an equation inside of that little environment in the exact same way as you would create an equation in the equation mode. And then, yes. Okay, now frequently you don't just want regular text, but you also want to create things like section headers or subsection headers or stuff like that. Now, that's actually super easy to do in Zymbolic as well. And in order to do that, you're going to use something called a slash command. Now, using slash commands are super easy. All you have to do is press backslash and then the command you want to do. So in this particular case, I'm going to do backslash section. Hit enter, and then this turns this text into section text. And we can do the exact same thing to create a subsection or even a subsection. And you might have noticed that we can also use H1 through H3 to accomplish the exact same thing as those previous commands. It just allows you to write less text in order to create the command. Okay, now sections are great, but I want to tell you about two other slash commands that are super useful in working with sections. And the first is label. So if I go ahead and press backslash label, this turns the equation label on, this turns the section label rather on and off. So if, for example, I have another section down here, that's like that, and I turn on this label visibility, this automatically renumbers or relabels the sections according to that. So this is just useful if you ever want to include a section that doesn't have a label. And again, this works the exact same way for subsections and subsections. Okay, now the next slash command that I want to tell you about is type. So if I hit slash type here, this is actually going to change the label type that is used for sections. And so we can see that this toggles between a numeric label and a alphabetic label. And once again, this works in the exact same way for subsections. So I can toggle between this and alphabetic label, and then even a mixed label between numeric and alphabetic labels. My subsection, I'll call it. Okay, wonderful. Now, the last thing that I want to tell you about in this video are two more commands that you can use to work with equations. Now, the first command is exactly the same as we had for sections. It's the label command. So if I have an equation here, and then I hit label just like that, that actually toggles the label on and off of this particular equation. Okay, and then you might have also noticed that when we're in equation mode, you don't actually need to hit the backslash in order to use commands. And the reason for this will become clear in future videos, but just note that, again, when you're in equations, you do not need to hit the slash in order to use commands. Okay, now finally, the last command that I want to tell you about is the align command. Now, by default, when you're working in Zymbolic, all equations are actually going to be aligned, and by default, they're aligned according to the first binary relation that the editor sees in each equation. So we can see that if I type out a bunch of text here, these two equations are going to continue to be aligned according to that equal sign. However, if I want to turn off that alignment, it's super easy. All I have to do is type out align and hit enter, and now the equations are no longer aligned. And then once again, if I want to realign them, all I have to do is type out align again, hit enter, and now they're back to being aligned. Okay, so now that we've done that, in the next videos, we're going to be looking into exactly how to create equations in Zymbolic, which, if you're watching this, you know is probably the most powerful feature of Zymbolic. So I will see you there.